just for a little background, some of the things that we did today. We did property data collection with a tool that we've developed in collaboration with OBB, Operation Better Block, and GTAC, to go out and use mobile phones to collect data out in the field. Andy has been developing a question and answer site with a number of folks in this group called AskBot. We'll probably fill you in more about that. Mark has taken the lead with Andy and a number of other folks on taking data from the police blotter and doing good things with it. We're not there yet, but we're getting close. And the last thing that Laura led today was the U.S. Open Data Census. So it's a nice way that we can compare Pittsburgh as it is now, do it again next year, see how things change, and compare ourselves to other cities. And I would imagine that, like, not too much longer from now, things are going to really start to turn green on that visualization and not red. Green's good. So with that, let's bring up the mayor. And
thanks. And I'm going to ask Laura to come on up too with me. Thanks, Bob.
Thanks.
I appreciate it. We go back to the days when you were at Carnegie Mellon and Sabina was at Pitt and starting to talk about this stuff. And I think even back then, Pittsburgh was on the forefront. We weren't trying to follow what other cities were doing back then. We were trying to identify and create it. And it was really sort of a partnership that the city was trying to do with the institutions. And sometimes it became broken down, and the resources that were needed to really do it weren't being allocated. And what that meant was, for the city, we weren't opening the doors of City Hall. We weren't blowing open the information that is your information. It's public information. It belongs to you to be able to put it into the hands of organizations and individuals who could be a little bit more creative with it. A lot of times in government, and it's not a knock against the people, it's just the way government's structured, is we are risk averse. We tend to play it very close and safe, and there is an entire different world out there, and we see it all over Pittsburgh, of entrepreneurs who go quite the opposite way. And if we can combine the information that we store, the information that we have, and combine it in a way that partners with institutions that are able to enhance upon it, and then put it in the hands of individuals and community organizations, we can do amazing things together. And that's really the goal for our open data platform. But here's the other part of it. We don't want to follow what other cities are doing. We want to lead it, and we want other cities to say, why can't we be more like Pittsburgh? So what that requires is much more than just Laura, and much more than just city government, and much more than the work with the University of Pittsburgh and Carnegie Mellon. It means that people have to be on the ground in their neighborhood, utilizing this information, creating the tools in order to be able to create a more efficient, more effective, and more equitable way of providing services.
Absolutely right. And I think today was a really great example of getting involved with understanding more about Operation Better Block and what they're doing at Homewood Children's Village, and understanding how they're using data currently, and finding ways that we can, I want to sit down with Dr. Wallace and say, how, what's your ultimate goal for this? How would it best look for us to provide information for you? How can we help make some of these connections with the folks in the universities who have this capacity to do some of this analysis, to build these applications? And how can we, as government, sort of begin to triangulate that relationship to really bring some of these resources that we already have in this community in such wonderful proportions to bear on these neighborhood projects. So one of the things that we didn't get to talk about today, but I just want to briefly mention, is a site that we've just launched in the last 2 weeks, and we're calling it PGH Data Forum. So this website is it's a pretty simple site, but my idea for this was that folks would be able to go on and say, okay, what sort of information that the city holds are you interested in using and why? And begin to sort of have a community conversation around what these ideas are. Are some of these ideas shared between community organizations? Can we begin to come up with some data sets that are going to be relevant to people in various neighborhoods and to people with who are working on similar kinds of projects in different neighborhoods? So, for those of you who are working in neighborhood organizations, for those of you who are at universities and interested in working on research projects potentially related to public data, I hope that you will, begin to use this site and participate in the conversation, see the kinds of things that other people are suggesting, and begin to sort of make some of these connections so that as we develop our data sets, our additional data sets for release, I want to make sure that they're things that are sort of more immediately applicable for folks, and then we can sort of build from there. One of the things that we are really trying to do as a leadership role from the city is to work, with our university partners and with our other governments in order to think about having a data resource center that's broader, more flexible, and more inclusive, including not just information that comes from the city and potentially from our partners at the county, but also from other organizations that might want to share their data and create a clearinghouse so that that information can be shared and used by actors throughout our community.
Just to piggyback on what Laura's saying, so this is real. I mean, this is actually happening right now. Like I said before, the one tool that we didn't provide was releasing that information. So the order has been given, and with Laura and with the team that we have, all these ideas we're pursuing to get as much information out to the public as possible to be able to utilize. Second part of that, we're now working with the county, and to be able to add on to that so that things like bus routes, public health information that could become really useful if it's combined and cross-tabulated with information that we have to empower communities in order to be able to do even bigger things. We now have a working agreement with the county executive and his team to do so. And then on top of that, there's a really strong interest from our foundation community in order to be able to help to finance it, so that as communities are coming up with what they're asking for and what they need in order to be able to address issues of blight, vacant housing, vacant lots, recycling, green initiatives of creating metered systems, of being able to track energy use and doing all these amazing things that people want to be able to do in their own communities, the foundations want to see a way in order to make it happen and provide the resources financially to do so. And again, if these things hit, there won't be another city on earth that will be at the forefront that Pittsburgh is. And that's our goal. That is the goal. And we have enough talent in this town to be able to really do some great things with that, if we just really set up the way.
Well, just wanted to stop by to say thank you, and to let you know that your work has been recognized on a national level, and locally with the foundation community willing to put the resources in, and from the city and the county willing to open up the information so that you can get to work on it. So all the pieces of the puzzle are there now, and I don't think I could have said that last year. And we got really good professional people to be able to assist you to be able to make sure that it happens. So good job. Thank you for what you're doing.